There has never been a project that has grown as fast as OpenClaw has. It recently hit 300,000 stars on GitHub, which is faster than Claude Code, Codex, and even Linux. OpenClaw is an AI agent you can run from anywhere. You can connect it to your favorite messaging apps like WhatsApp or Telegram and use it to automate tasks across your business. But most people using OpenClaw run into two issues. One, they want to get started with OpenClaw, but setting it up on your personal computer comes with some security risks. And two, OpenClaw is an extremely powerful AI agent, but setting it up properly can take hours of manual configuration. In this video, we're going to tackle those two issues. First, we'll set up OpenClaw through DigitalOcean's one-click OpenClaw deployment. This will run OpenClaw in an isolated sandbox. We'll securely connect to it from our personal computer. Then we'll use Composio to connect it to over 1,000+ tools like Gmail, GitHub, and Slack, so that OpenClaw can actually automate your business without the security risks. Let me show you how it's done. For this setup, you actually won't need to buy any Mac Minis. Instead, we'll be using DigitalOcean's one-click OpenClaw deployment to give us the same isolated sandbox that a Mac Mini offers without needing to purchase any hardware. Okay, so first we're gonna head over to DigitalOcean. Once you click Create Droplet, it'll take you to this form where we can accept most of the default settings. Select your closest region, and then head over down to the CPU options. OpenClaw and DigitalOcean recommend at least 4 GB of memory and 2 CPUs, which currently costs 24 USD a month. And I highly recommend you use these settings so that you can avoid any out of memory issues. Then we'll create a root password so that we can connect to this DigitalOcean droplet later on. Finally, click Create Droplet and give this a couple of minutes to start up. All right, now that it's up and running, all we need to grab is this IPv4 address. Just click to copy, then open up a terminal window, type in SSH space root ampersand, and paste in the IPv4 address that you just copied from the dashboard. It'll prompt you to enter your password, so enter in the password you just created on DigitalOcean, and then this should prompt you to go through the OpenClaw onboarding sequence where you can give your OpenClaw some personality, paste in your Anthropic API key, and start connecting your messaging channels. I'll skip all of this for now to keep this video simple, and we'll just interact through the terminal. And if you ever want to rerun the OpenClaw onboarding command, all you have to type in is OpenClaw space onboard. Also, if you need to grab your Anthropic API key, just head over to Claude Developer Dashboard, go to the API key section and click on Create New API Key. So we now have OpenClaw running on a DigitalOcean droplet. But how do we give it access to over 1,000+ tools? That's where Composio comes in. It gives your OpenClaw access to over 1,000+ third-party tools like Gmail, Slack, GitHub, and Notion, all with properly scoped permissions managed through one single dashboard. First, we'll head over to dashboard.composio.dev and create an account. We can see in the Connect Apps tab that I've already given it access to a bunch of different tools here. I'll just add access to my Google Drive so that I can access some of my files. And with a single click, it'll take me through Google's OAuth, where we can see the exact permissions we're giving to OpenClaw. And there you go. In a matter of seconds, we have the integration ready to go in OpenClaw without having to write a single line of code. Next, we'll go to the Composio openclaw-plugin documentation. So check the link in the description for that. And it's just OpenClaw plugins install at composio/openclaw-plugin. Once this is installed, you can verify that it is installed by typing in OpenClaw plugins list. And you can see that we have Composio's plugin here, and you can see all the other plugins that we have downloaded. Then we'll copy this second command from the documentation. This is gonna set the consumer key into our config. So we'll paste it into the terminal, and then we'll go back to the dashboard, click connect to OpenClaw, and copy the Composio API key, go back to our terminal, and paste it inside the double quotes. Finally, we need to allow Composio's tools in our agent's tool list. We'll hop back into our terminal and paste the command. It lets us know that it updated the tools.allow list and that we should restart the gateway now. And finally, make sure that you type in OpenClaw gateway restart to make sure that OpenClaw picks up the new config. Previously in this video, I showed you how to use the dashboard to connect your tools to Composio manually. In this section, I'll instead just start up a chat with OpenClaw TUI, use Composio to connect to my LinkedIn, then make a post as my OpenClaw agent. It generates this link so we can connect Composio to LinkedIn. We'll paste this link to our browser and it'll create this one-time connection form telling us exactly what Composio is going to use, allowing us to give access to OpenClaw through Composio. I'll just ask it to continue now. All right, and we can see this simple message from our OpenClaw to LinkedIn. The main benefit here is that this is more secure since we're using OAuth. Composio gets granted access through LinkedIn, manages this connection for us, and this way, OpenClaw never has to see the password for any tool you connect. This setup is not only more secure, it's faster and more accurate. If you were to do this integration by yourself, you'd have to connect to LinkedIn, manage that connection, and handle any token refreshing when things expire and break. Multiply that against every app you use in your business, and this can get messy pretty fast. Instead, Composio manages all of that for you for over 1,000+ tools out of the box so that you can focus on automating. First, I'll show you how you can use OpenClaw to automate manual outreach by connecting it to your Gmail. I run a lot of events here in Vancouver, and these events can cost up to $1,000 to run, which is why I have to email outside sponsors to fund these events. OpenClaw does the heavy lifting behind the scenes, looking through my emails to learn more about my event, using the web tool to do research on local startups, and then finally using the Gmail tool in parallel to draft 4 emails for us. This is a task that would have taken me at least 30 to 60 minutes to do manually, and OpenClaw was able to do it in 2 minutes. The second use case I want to show you is how you can automate some of the customer support for your business. So in this case, we have a customer who was double charged on her credit card. I'm going to mention this entire issue to OpenClaw and ask it to cross-reference using Slack, Gmail, and GitHub. It starts by going to Slack, reading the customer complaint, then going through my emails to see if it can find her invoices in my inbox. And then finally, it goes into GitHub to compare the pricing that she was charged versus the pricing that was offered on my website. Finally, you can take this one step further by telling OpenClaw to run this automation for you every single weekday at 9 a.m. And you can fully automate the workflow by giving it access to Stripe so it can process the refund for you. And you can connect it to your favorite coding tools like Claude Code or Cursor so that it can actually go in and fix the bug for you and draft a PR for you. All right, so now we have an OpenClaw on DigitalOcean that we can directly access from our personal computer. And the workflow I've shown you here, where I start by automating a small task and then ask OpenClaw to run it on a periodic basis, is how I've managed to automate large parts of my business through OpenClaw and Composio. We're so excited to see what you end up building with OpenClaw and Composio. Make sure to check out the links in the description for all the documentation and commands that we covered in this video. And if you're interested in building reliable AI agents, make sure to subscribe to see how you can do that using Composio.